Without losing your mind.
Wow. Are we
Stick
on?
around. Not yet. Soon.
That's good. We need to be on.
Yeah, y'all.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Not yet. There you go. Live. Live in effect.
Yeah, we're talking today about, you know, how do you keep from burnout? What are you doing in your your life to keep yourself healthy enough to do your job? Maybe even what are you doing today to maintain your sanity, because sometimes at the top, if you're like the boss or if you're doing your job, sometimes what we want to do is be careful and not go into some kind of burnout where you don't like your job, or so when you find things in your job that's not suiting you well, ask your questions about what can I do about this. you know, Another thing is to throw in is health is very important for your happiness. I'm the happiness coach here, and I tell you a few things. It's proven that if you don't get enough sleep, it's harder to take on the day. So it's a little bit harder to not get that kind of burnout that might happen if you work yourself too much and never take a break. What they say, as we go on, we a lot of times want to sharpen the axe. There's many examples where there's two people in the forest who both are cutting down trees, and the one takes time to sharpen his axe, and he cuts twice as many trees. So, are you sharpening your axe? Again, sleep is very important, maintaining a good attitude, and finding what things aren't working for you and start moving him towards the positive. What do you got, Scott?
There's so many different things to think about, right? So if you're always constantly moving, are you doing a self-check to find out if that's moving in the right direction? Because you can go as hard as you want on a treadmill, but are you going anywhere? Or are you getting to the destination that you want, or are you getting somewhere that's undesirable, right? So you may have had a goal or a vision when you started out, but once you got to that point, you didn't realize all the extra stuff that came along with it. So then you have to ask yourself if that's worth the reward of how much time that you're spending. So basically, taking taking some time off or a, an hour a day of an hour. My phone was ringing. Sorry. So like an hour a day or so to like recalibrate where you're going. So me personally, the whole goal was to build a DJ business, and now that I have all these different clients, I have all these different things are being pulled in different directions. And well, maybe if you had a more streamlined or didn't offer so many, detailed, services and just kept it, less detailed, then it would be easier to fulfill. And then if you had clients that weren't okay with that, then you would just take clients that were okay with what you were able to um, fulfill or able to execute, and then that would really alleviate some stress. So basically, just self-checking. I mean, I've been going since Thursday, right? So Thursday's been gig after gig after site visit after gig after gig after gig, and I'm like, oh, I'll take today off, and I was up early answering emails and doing things, and it was like, is that going to work out? I don't know.
A lot of times we say the word calibrate, basically
Yeah.
taking a check and seeing where you're at. A few weeks ago, we were talking about well-formed outcome. Again, like he just said, our well-formed outcome when you're building your business, when you get there, is it really where you want to be? And what's good about this also, when you get there and if it's not necessarily where you want to be, we still have the thing with the well formed outcome doing the meta model is saying, how is this working for us? What would this do for us? Where we're at, what's it doing for us? Is this really where we want to be? And if not, where would we want to be? And we just redo the well formed outcome. Where do we want to be? And we start on that same process each and every day, little micro movements towards our goals, and focusing more on our positive and then on the negative, because when we got the reticulating activating system, the more you focus on anything, the more you'll find of it. So what can we do? Earlier on we were talking about sharpening your axe. again, and also sleep and taking care of yourself. Because in the happiness code, it's going to be so much harder to be happy when you're not healthy or if you haven't had enough sleep. I know when I don't get enough sleep, it feels like there's a weight on the back of my back, and it's like, ugh. And I'm more irritable, and not that I'm angry or mad, but I'm really not as happy as I could be. It takes out my happiness level and also takes away my ability to assess exactly what's coming at me, because we probably talked several times about the well-formed outcome. And when you're tired, it's easier to take things personally. And when you're taking things personally, it takes a toll on you, and you go, so again, on our stuff, we want to be able to take care of ourselves, which sometimes we see because we have to save ourselves as a the person runs the company, or even just an employee. We have to save ourselves before we can save the world around us. So what we're working on today, and we usually don't talk on this side of it because we usually just go, 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 go. But yet, every once in a while, it's okay to take a break. Even if, like he said, even if it's just an hour a day to just sit there and reassess where you're at, or even just breathe. Oh my gosh, if you ever find yourself not being able to breathe, you're definitely want to get back on that plane and get that life jacket for the boat, and also the air for you on a plane, because you got to save yourself first. And I can tell you many years ago, seriously, I was working so hard. I mean, day to night, 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 day to night. And at one point, I did get a little bit burned out, and I said, I don't even want to answer the phone. I just don't want to answer the phone. And I didn't. I didn't do it because at that point I was past the point of no return. So I had to reassess and say what's important. And I did. So I adapted, conquered, overcame, and, you know, and also, what is your goals and what do you want in life? And me at one point, instead of go, 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 go every second, I decided that my happiness I was going to put first before everything else. Not being mean or doing anything wrong to anyone else, or being, what, but to save myself, to save myself. So I started saying, what's important to me is being able to find happiness each and every day. What one thing can you do for yourself? Because you're important too. Everybody around us is important. We're not saying nobody's not important, yet if we can't save ourselves, we're not going to be able to save anyone else. Go ahead, Scott. Sorry, that was a mouthful.
I know there was a couple different points that I was thinking about, but basically, if you're worried about your losses, then you're gonna, have more losses, or you can focus on your gains. But if you have a few losses, you can always look at it and be like, well, what can I change, or can I go back and and fix whatever, or recoup whatever what was lost, right? So, um, I was just explaining to Tharpo before we got on the call is that you could build something really big, and then there'll be people that are gnawing at what you have, right? So, and you can look at the world with a scarcity mindset and be afraid about everything that you're going to lose, or you can look at the world with an abundance mindset and then build more. Always be planting seeds. So if you do lose something, hopefully the seeds that you plant will come back to the harvest, and you'll have more than what you lost. And when I say lost, did you really lose it, or is it just on hold until you can get back to it? An example was I was doing a wedding venue, and then whatever they had a meeting, or they decided to add a bunch of people to the list, and I wasn't invited to the meeting, or I didn't get a call to be on that list. So it was like, well, did I really lose that venue? Or maybe other people are better at talking to the people in the office versus like my game, right? I put everything online, and I have all these automations and systems. So I'm not really the greatest smoozer. So I think Jeff was saying like you should probably have a smoozer around you to go ahead and cover those areas that your strong points is online. Find somebody who has strong points of talking to people, and have them go and represent for you. So it's like you could look at your losses and be like, oh man, that's gone, that'll never happen. Or you can look at it and be like, well, what can I do to fix this moving forward? Or can I go back and recoup what I lost? And if you're adding extra stress to your life, is that something that you really need? Or would you rather just look at it as a challenge to go, overcome whatever happened, right? Because it's always a learning experience. So you can look at it as, oh man, I lost, or oh, how can I get that back? Like, two can play at that game, and I'm probably better at it. Like,
Well, we can go also right there at that point. We can do a reframe there, and it's just the quality check and seeing where we're at, and not necessarily smoozer. He didn't mean in a bad way, but he meant kind of like a project manager who can assess and go in and find out what did happen. Because sometimes the the leader of the company is not the one that needs to go in there and talk about, why aren't we on this list? What could we do to get back on the list? Did we do something that upset you? Or we're not sure why we're not on this list. And then they give information to the project manager, and he comes back and says, here's with our team, these are the things that they would want. And then now we have more information to go from. Instead of sometimes what we do, we assume before we
yeah,
know that, and we're assuming really is not the best way. Really,
that's kind of like jumping the
time.
gun. Jumping the gun.
Right.
Jump the
So,
gun. I mean, you can have those thoughts. That's fine, but get more information before you just
right. So
fly
that's
off the handle.
So, so when you're assuming before and that's okay because we all assume every once in a while, yet we can stop ourselves and say, let's go find that information and then we'll know. And when
Well,
we
assumptions I don't
know,
think are
then we can
bad.
change. Go ahead.
I don't think assumptions are bad. I
I
think
mean,
assumptions are like, okay, so me personally, when I go into a situation or think about something, like I give myself 16 to 20 assumptions. Like I don't believe any of them are true, but I can start to go get information. Oh, well, if that happened, well, I can check that one off, but
well, there you go. That's exactly what I just said, is we're going in with the assumption to find out that is it true or not true. See, you're going in and same thing you just said is basically going in with 16 assumptions, but each one you're checking, is this true? And if it's true, then we need to do something about it. If it's not true, then throw it aside and go and narrow it down to what really is the issue and then work on the issue when we find out. That's again the project manager goes in, uh, assesses everything, gets the blunt of anything that needs to be, any harshness, or if they have some kind of
that is
emotion.
one thing I don't think people work on enough, right? Like I did an event the other day, and everybody that came up to me just assumed that I knew everything that was going on, or that I had time to talk to them. And I was the DJ, and there were people on stage, and I'm sitting there staring at, when they're going to give me cues to do stuff. And then I just had people going, "Can you shut the lights off in this building?" Like they just assumed I could do that. Like I don't own the building. I'm not employee of the building. Like I don't know where the light switches are. Like not my department at all. And on top of that, it's not like I could just stop what I was doing to even answer that question because this cue could come at me at any moment. So I had, but this whole room was filled with this type of assumptions, right? Like they just come up to me and say a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, well, I'd love to talk to you right now, but no, I can't find you a place for you to charge your phone. Like I'm waiting for these people to end their act. Like, but yeah, I find that people assume a lot of things when they don't have all the details, and that could lead to, problems or mistakes, or not. You want to be a information gatherer at all times, and then it's okay if you go and talk to somebody and you don't know what their world is. That's the whole point. You ask them. You're like, hey, what's going on in your world? Do you have time to talk? Once you get those yes questions, then you can proceed, right? But if you just go in assuming this person's in your world, then that's probably not going to work out too well for you. So, and if you assume onto somebody else, they're going to be like insulted, be like, well, what's going on here? Like, I mean, I love like, okay, another thing when you're talking to like different employees, I text them, hey, when's a good time to talk? Just don't call them up and be like, oh yeah, I know you were sitting in front of the computer with all my information in front of you. Let's talk about it now.
Well,
And
there's
I think a lot of
courtesy.
people overlook that or don't understand the importance of that.
I think that definitely a aspect of it is being very, what's that? Aware of other people's time and being courteous when, because there was a thing we were talking about earlier, when to call people if you were making calls, and the thought was, can you call after 5? And I said that maybe it's better not to call after 5 because people might have an opinion that you're trying to bug them when they just got off of work and it might not be the right time. Now, I'm not sure, see, but this is where we go in and not assume, we go figure out, is this working for us? And this is going to be with everything in your whole business. If it's not working, then we change it the best we can. And if that doesn't work, we change it again. If there's one thing that's 100% guarantee in your life, change. There is no way that you can't change. You change every moment of every breath you take. You get older, everything you ever eat changes your palate, everything you ever see changes how you look at things, everything you hear the same way. So that is the only thing that's guaranteed in life is change. So are you changing with the time? Are you being stagnant? Again, then we start asking these questions. So a good thing to do every, every 6 weeks or a month, which is probably about the same, that is assess where you're at and see if you're going the right place. If not, start writing those little things down. What can I do better? Because each day, if you be the best you can be, each and every day, no matter what that is for you, it might be 120% one day and 30% the next day. Yet, if you do the best you can be, then you're not living in regret. You're doing the best you can. Again, I want to go back because I'm kicking a horse here, is that basically sometimes it's time to take a little bit of break and sharpen your axe so you can get up the next day and take on the world, because uh, most people aren't really worried about you. Okay, they're just not. So some we have to take care of ourselves, just like on a boat or on a plane. We have to save ourselves first. Not that we're not going to save everybody else we can, yet if we can't save ourselves, we won't have enough energy to save the ones around us. So be every day, look at your situation and say, what do I need to do today to be the best me? And that's keeping up your health, keeping up your, diet, keeping up, the things that make you happy. And some people, also your relationships with others, because when you lose those, that's the number one key that's been given that helps people have a happier life, is relationship with other people. You don't have to have a whole army of other people, but you need a few to be able to talk to be able to tell a secret to say, I had a rough day, or, something like that. So uh, keep a few friends. And what I find, and I found in the past, and I find a lot of times, is we start, not that you shouldn't fire some friends if they're not good friends, but uh, firing everyone off your list and saying, I don't have time for not even one person. But what we do want to do more than likely is to make a little bit of time for at least one or two people just to talk, because we find, you know, it helps us to talk to someone else and see what their point of view is. We don't have to take anybody's advice, but we can listen. And when you listen, you learn more. God gave us one mouth and two ears. That's what they say, is basically listen. And did you know the strongest person in the room in a conversation is the last one to speak, because they have the most information? So sometimes, even though we like to talk, or I like to talk, sometimes it's better to listen. God, sorry. And
Well,
see,
there you
well,
go.
I just start talking.
I think you got it. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, this topic came up because I probably need a break. Um,
Yeah.
Probably gonna take tomorrow off for sanity, write down where I'm at, what the goals are. Am I even on the right path to get to those goals. And I don't know, I'm about to hit busy season, so I don't know how well that'll go. Or I know I'll be able to do everything. It's just, will I be able to enjoy life while doing all the stuff I got coming ahead of me? That's all. But anyway, um, I think that's all the time I have for today.
At least you gave it some time.
I did give it some time. All right. Well, we'll catch you on the next one. Tharpa with all the
Woo!
wonderful advice over there. That's more of his department. And we'll see you in the next one.
Have a
All
great
right.
day, guys.
All
And
righty.
take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves.